Hey guys, what's up? My name's Fox. In this video, I want to talk about the currently most popular DPS in Final Fantasy XIV, which is Viper, for good reason. It looks cool, it really does, it plays cool, it looks flashy. I get why this is the most popular class. Obviously, being new adds to this, but still, I get it. It is really fun to play too. But Viper also has a lot of problems with the way it is designed and the way it works. And I want to talk about those problems. I want to first explain quickly how the kit works, for those of you that don't know. Then I want to talk about the issues that this kit has, or not by itself, but why they pose issues. And lastly, I want to talk about why this is a nightmare to balance, right? So let's have a look at this. Now, Viper is very simple. Let me say that straightforward. Now, if you look at my hotbar, you see I have a lot of space here. Like, I really don't have a lot on this hotbar. These are all just AoE buttons that we really don't even use in dungeons. But if I compare this to its counterpart, Ninja, because they share the gear, right? Like, Ninja has a lot more going on. There's a lot more stuff happening on that hotbar. We also have 2 gauges, which we technically seen also do have on Viper, but it's just one example. It's just that Viper has no buttons. The reason for that is obviously because they condensed the main combos here, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't want to say this is horrible, but definitely adds to making this class the by far easiest class that I have ever played in this game. And I've played all of the melee DPS this expansion already, and Viper is like, there's like such a large margin in between the next difficulty and Viper, in my opinion, that it is actually criminal. Now, how does Viper work? You have 2 buffs you need to keep track of, and I want to show you how to apply them. It's the second part of your main combo that will give you this buff, which is called Swift Scaled, which is a skill speed buff. And the other combo will give you just a flat damage buff, which is called Hunter's Instinct. They last for 40 seconds, as you just saw. The other things we don't need to care about, they're just enablers. Now, another way to apply these buffs is by using Vicewinder, and you get access to 2 new different GCDs that will also refresh those buffs or apply them, as you see here. So we have them back at 40 seconds. So the buffs last 40 seconds, and this has a 40-second cooldown, by the way. So you could technically only keep those buffs up with this in a way. That's possible. But we, of course, also can keep them up with this. Now, that's all there is to really care for buffs in this class. There is no buff otherwise to yourself. There is no buff for your party. There is another gauge to take care of, which is this one. At 50 gauge, you get access to Reawaken. And the other thing to look at is the amount of Uncalled Fury stacks you get by using Vicewinder and Serpent's Ire. The only true off-global cooldown you have in this class is Serpent's Ire, which can drift, but it's the only thing that can drift. There's nothing else that can drift here. And it gives you access to your burst window, Reawakening, and it gives you an Uncalled Fury. So it's basically an enabler button that a lot of classes have by now, because it could feel gauge, but instead gives you just a free use. Like Reaper has something similar, for example. So that's about it. There is no other real OGCDs you need to keep track of, no buffs or anything like that. And this is a huge part of the problem in the kit that I'll talk about later, but it's super easy. It is straight up giga easy, because after you've applied your buffs, you just press what lights up. You don't need to look at a guide. This is the first class where I think that you really don't need to know what you're doing. You just press whatever is shiny and you will be fine. Because it is very difficult to actually drop these 2 buffs. It is so difficult, because you have to not do either of these 3 for 40 seconds basically to drop that. Which can happen if you Reawaken too much in a row, or if you use too much Uncalled Fury after Reawaken. There is ways to drop it, but it's more difficult to drop it than to keep it up, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So it is really easy to play this class, honestly. It simply put is easy. Now, that by itself is not a problem. I don't mind having an easy class. That is not an issue. I actually enjoy it. I think it plays fun, because there's 2 things that I also enjoy about this class, which is that it has tons of CPM. Like, you press a lot of buttons. It's very busy in a way. It feels very busy. And the other thing that makes it a bit more difficult is that it has, on average, more positionals than other melees, I believe, because you have every combo ender, so every third GCD, you have a positional, which is either flank or back, and then these two also have positional switches, flank and back. This makes it just a little bit more difficult, but not a lot, because you can mitigate positionals quite easily on this class. You can use an Uncalled Fury to delay it. You can use your full reawaken if you have a phase where you know you won't hit a positional for, I don't know, like 10 seconds or something. There is ways to basically delay your positionals, like Reaper can. Reaper can also manipulate when they use their positionals up to a certain point. And other classes like Monk cannot, Samurai can a little bit only, Dragoon cannot choose it. Like there's just, a Ninja can also manipulate it up to a certain point, obviously, but the same goes for this class. So there's classes that cannot, there's classes that can. This class can definitely manipulate it. So that's the more difficult part about this class. Now, why is this kit problematic? Now, first off, like I said, it is too easy. It is straight up too easy to play. I don't have anything against easy classes, but there's another factor I'll talk about later why this is a problem. It just is too easy now. Like before patch 0.5, we actually had a debuff in this kit, which would be applied by the second combo of the Reaving Fangs combo. That would be applied to the target in 20 seconds duration. So basically, you had to think about, do I use Reaving Fangs combo to reapply the debuff on the target, or do I use Steel Fangs to reapply my own buffs? Like there was actually like a bit of thinking involved. It wasn't crazy hard, but there was a bit more to think about. Mostly Reaving Fangs is what you thought about because you could up your buffs with Vice Finder already. So Reaving Fangs was situational by reapplying the debuff on the target, but that's gone. And since then, this class feels absolutely like it's just like, it's streamer class. You can play it while talking to and doing anything. This is your Netflix class. It definitely is super, super easy. Like I said, it does have a lot of buttons to press, but that's about it. Now, there's one thing with this class that I think is absolutely criminal. That is, besides it already being really, really easy, the other thing that is too criminal is straight up Uncalled Fury. Uncalled Fury is, if you don't know, it's a ranged GCD, right? And you get charges really a lot. You get charges every time you use Vice Finder, which is a 40-second cooldown. So every 40 seconds you get a one charge, plus Serpent's Eye gives you a charge, which means an additional charge at 2 minutes. Maybe you get, I don't think you get any other way charges, but basically this is ridiculous, right? You can just use it, and it does damage. It does a lot of damage. Now, optimally, I think you want to use it in the burst window of your party. Like, I believe so, because I haven't gone over the potencies exactly. But if you, for example, are someone who just doesn't care so much about that, if you're in Party Finder, or if you're someone who plays in a party with only one party buff, you don't necessarily need to play into party buffs at that point, because if you just have one party buff, who cares? The problem is that if you say you don't play for your party, this class is like the most flexible stuff I've ever seen in my entire life, because you don't even need to care about your own buff. Since you don't have a single buff for yourself that you need to press, like Riddle of Fire on Monk, for example, or Dragoon's Lance Charge, Ninja obviously with Trigger Tag, and Mug for the party. Like a lot of classes have self buffs that are on a cooldown, but this class does not. So Uncalled Fury becomes basically, let me get all the charges to show you really how long this free uptime is on this class. It is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to get the buff first to make sure that we are a bit faster. So right now, Uncalled Fury, let me get 3 charges, has a cooldown, a recast time of 2.97 seconds, which is 3 seconds. So you are able to straight up have 9 seconds of uptime for free. Completely for free. And this is absolutely ridiculous, because this also does a lot of damage. I'm sorry, but what is this? What? I don't know. This is, to me personally, it's crazy. If you compare this to any other class, besides maybe Ninja, I'm going to take it out of the equation, because Ninja does have means to keep good uptime, but it's not favorable for them. Monk, for example, you 6-sided star and you sit there and do nothing. You maybe do form shift and you charge your mantra, and that's about it. But no other class has this uptime advantage. Like, there's just none. If you want to play them optimally, obviously. This is 9 seconds of downtime that you can basically make into uptime is ridiculous. Now, another thing that I think is That's only semi-ridiculous if you compare it to, for example, Dragoon. Like the Reawaken, yes, it has a lot of stuff going on, but at the same time, it is also just, it is a bit slower now because I didn't apply the buff. But it is really easy. There's nothing that's really difficult about this window. If I compare this to Dragoon's burst window, Dragoon doesn't only lock himself into place while jumping. It's just completely different. It feels like it's much more difficult to execute these burst windows. There's a lot of burst windows, in my opinion. Samurais, Monks, Reaper, arguably even a little bit. Like, they all feel more difficult than this. This feels straight up super easy again. It's not necessarily criminal, but it just is super, super easy. Now, the problem with Uncalled Fury being so much uptime is, why does this class get to have this advantage over other classes? Right, so let's have a look and talk about why this is a nightmare to balance. Now, obviously, it's only week 2 of the tier. Things will change, but we can have an indicator. We can have the indicator that in the 19th percentile, Viper is outdamaging the Pictomancer, which the Pictomancer was until now the broken class. We all said Pictomancer is crazy broken. Well, guess what? Viper says hi. And the reason why this is, I chose 90th percentile, by the way, because this is where people start to optimize more and where people actually, play good. Obviously, if you go down a bit, things can change, but they don't because Viper is still broken. If we go to max, yes, we have Pictomans at the top. Samurai gets also higher, right? But I try to always look at 19th or 95th percentile because it is quite representative of people that do optimize, but not optimize to the crazy, crazy, crazy max, right? And there's a few fights where this is different, but let's go to the current, I want to go to Black Cat, because Black Cat is the only fight where I feel like uptime is easier, and even in a fight where uptime is pretty easy, Monk is still behind Viper, yet if you go higher, I think Monk will overtake Viper. Even Samurai does overtake Monk and Viper now. So, as you can see, in these cases, then Samurai and Monk get higher, yet in every other fight, if we go back to 19th percentile, still here, even at 19th percentile, Viper is high because it is so easy. Any fight that has downtime, it just straight up shits on any other melee completely. Here, even Black Mage comes higher and Reaper starts to show up because Reaper, I don't know exactly why Reaper gets it here, but Viper, again, just shitting on any other class. Samurai trying his best to reach Viper, but it doesn't. Now, this is, besides the fact that this already is really bad balancing, it is overall not good. The reason I say it's not good and why this is a nightmare to balance is because this class is supposed to be in the same category as Samurai. It has no party buffs. Its only contribution is its damage, right? Which is not a problem by itself. Machinist has the same. But if you look at Machinist, I can just bring this back down quickly again. Machinist is currently bottom of the barrel. Like, I'm sorry, Machinists. It is not in a great spot right now. And on the other hand, we have Viper and Samurai being top of the barrel. This is rate DPS and not ADPS. If we go by ADPS, this whole graph looks a lot different. This is absolutely not okay. Like, we see the difference better there because this is just straight up not okay, this difference in between two melees. Now, I'm not going to talk about the balance of casters or range or whatever now, but this difference of an average, 500 DPS in between 19th percentile players is not okay for these two classes because they have the same role, right? Both of them have exactly the same role. No damage, only damage, no buffs. And now comes a big problem. Samurai is a lot harder than Viper. I'm not saying Samurai is the most difficult job. That's also subjective, which is currently the most difficult job in my opinion because everyone learns differently and everyone plays differently. But I think I have not anyone say that Viper is hard. Everyone agreed with me so far that I've talked to that Viper is by far the easiest melee. And the fact that this class pumps more currently than any other melee is not okay. It straight up isn't okay at all. The fact that it pumps more than Samurai alone is already criminal because Samurai is so much more difficult. Now the problem is if you put this class in terms of damage below Samurai, people will say, well, Viper is useless now. But we currently have the case for the opposite. Samurai is currently technically seen useless. There is, if you go by factually by damage and by kits, There is no reason to play any other melee than Viper right now. There really isn't, because Viper is overall so strong, so easy, so flexible. It is the best proc job by far. You're not tied to your own buffs drifting. If there's a bad lineup in any mechanic, guess what? You just delay Reawaken. You just delay it. It doesn't matter. This is so overall, everything is so good about this class in a way, or so favorable for this class, that it lets every other class look bad. Because why would I struggle with a samurai who has every downtime I have think about how my filler needs to change when I can just play this? Where I just get free uptime and it doesn't affect my rotation at all. It is straight up not okay, in my opinion, the way it is currently in the game, this class. It is not okay the way it plays. It's not okay how dominant it is. If you want to keep this kit the way it is, you need to nerf the fuck out of this class. I'm sorry I'm saying it this way, but you do. Because you cannot have a class that's so piss easy do such high damage, basically. Right? This is all talking from a damage point of view right now, because obviously the people that do Savage and Ultimates will care about this. The only problem with playing this class in Ultimate or progging on it is that you might fall asleep, because at some point this becomes so repetitive. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. The issue really is that it is too strong for how easy it is. I always believe in a correlation of difficulty and damage, and this is by far the opposite here. And maybe they didn't test their changes enough. Maybe this will still change in the future with gear at the end of week 8 or something. But I've noticed that whenever I play this class and I put in tiny amounts of effort, I will just pump much more than any other class I'm playing. And that makes me a bit sad, because it shouldn't be this way. Anyway, my rant is kind of over now. I'm enough ranting or yapping. I would like to know what you guys think about this class. How you feel about Viper. Now, I'm not saying this class is bad. I'm not saying the kit overall, the idea are bad or anything. I think it's actually quite enjoyable to play. Especially if I want to just really not focus on a lot and I just want to press buttons that light up. It's great for more kind of like casual gameplay while I'm doing hard content. It doesn't, if that makes sense. But overall, the class just brings problem to the universe of XIV in a way, with certain things like Uncalled Fury and not having any self-buffs to really care about, not having anything it can drift. There's just a lot of reasons why the kit is broken in its own way, and that needs to have changes. For example, giving Vicewinder a straight 40-second cooldown would be something that would make the class more interesting. Giving back the debuff it had would make it again more interesting. Having a buff besides Serpent's Ire, an OGCD that buffs your burst that you should combine with Reawaken, would be something that's also something that will make it more. There's a lot of ways to make it more interesting and difficult, to just have more things to manage, but it feels like it's like such a basic, easy kit, and it lacks a lot of other things compared to any other melees that are by far more interesting to play, in my opinion, but they're also way more difficult. So if you're looking for efficiency, yeah, this is the way to go. This is by far the way to go. If you happen to also enjoy it, that's great for you, obviously. If you are not looking for efficiency, well, you don't need to play it. But if you want to be efficient, you should absolutely play this. Basically, if you're playing Samurai over this, you're not, I don't want to say griefing, obviously you're not griefing, but you're not doing yourself a favor, because you're playing a difficult class compared to an easy class that can just do more damage with less effort. Obviously, this is a bit of doom yapping, right? Because the truth is that you can play whatever the fuck you want, because everything is fine in this game, everything can clear in this game. That was never the question at hand. It's just that the way this class works and everything it has in the kit is posing a problem to how the game works and the other melees, in my opinion. So yeah. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed my yapping. Let me know in the comments, of course, how you feel about Viper. If you disagree with anything I said, make sure to mention it in comments. I would love to talk about this more, because I'm super interested in this, obviously, and in balance and everything. So feel free to just straight up put it in comments. I would enjoy that. And yeah, that would be it for now. So thank you for watching. You guys, of course, have an amazing rest of your day.